Hey guys, and welcome back to a Wally modelling series, and this is where we left off last time. So we added all these panels, and in this part we're going to go ahead and I'll just show you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and create these two rims that sort of go around the mesh. As you can tell, there's this little part here that looks like a separate piece just to give it some extra detail. And it's the exact same thing on the other side, so it goes around like so, and there's this little bit around here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this and let's get started. And again, our outliner is getting a bit messy, so after we make this, we're going to go ahead and clean this up and group everything together before it gets out of control. So we're going to use our backup mesh again, so you're going to go ahead and duplicate that and just drag it to the side, and we're going to go ahead and steal some faces of this one just to hopefully save us some time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select these faces and that one. So we're going to go ahead and select these faces, and then we're going to come up to mesh, extract, and then in here you're going to go ahead and drag this out, select the group, and just go to delete all by type history, and now we can get rid of this, so we only have the rim. So now that we have this rim, we're going to go ahead and delete these edges that we don't need, and I'm double clicking them to make sure if it is a loop it goes all the way around, and then just delete that. And now we're going to go ahead and resize this a little bit, and also you're going to obviously go ahead and extrude the bits that we need, and then we're going to go ahead and add the extra edge loops so we can go ahead and smooth this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and resize this front bit. So we're going to select these vertices and drag them out to about here. I'm also going to select these and drag them to about here. Select those and drag them quite close to the edge, probably about there will do. So now that I resize that, I'm just going to go ahead and look in my perspective to make sure that this rim goes on the outside as well a little bit. So now I'm going to come around to the back, and this doesn't go to the outside, so I'm going to select those and just not drag down, drag out a little bit like so, and I'm just gonna look inside here, and that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna go ahead and select, if I can, just go ahead and select these verts at the back and just push them back a tad to about there. And now again I'm just checking, making sure that this looks okay, and it looks fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and select the faces again that we need, then go to our edit mesh. I'm just going to tear this off and hit extrude. Then in the thickness bit I'm just going to go ahead and drag this down a tiny bit, like probably about there will do. Okay, and now I'll notice that this doesn't actually come out, and it does need to come out a tiny bit, so it looks like it's a separate piece, and I know it goes inside it, but that's the way it meant to look. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this out a tiny bit like so, and now this is the kind of look that we were going for. I might go ahead and drag these in just a bit to about there, and also we're going to select these two vertices and just drag them in a little bit, so it gives us a different effect. Now that we have that, I'm just going to go ahead and drag this up a little bit like so, so we get a rim on the inner edge as well as the outside edge. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and extrude this piece. So hit extrude, thickness, going to drag this down, and I'm dragging this down to about where we added in this hand extrusion, probably a little bit inside that. Okay, so now that we have these bits added in, before we smooth it, we're going to go ahead and break this piece from here, just to give it some extra detail. So we're going to go insert edge loop, and we're going to go ahead and add one to about here, and roughly about here. It doesn't really matter how precise you are with this. And then select those faces, go to edit mesh, and then extract. And then again, while I have this group selected, just going to go edit, delete all by type, history. Drag these pieces out of the group and just delete that. So now we have two pieces. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to modify and center pivot on this. And we're going to go ahead and select, or we could actually scale as well. We can just go ahead, select the object and just scale this in a tiny bit. Okay, so probably that much will be too much. So just going to select these verts, go to my side view. I can see the gap here, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move this closer to about there. I'm going to find the other ones there. I'm going to drag this into about there as well. And now what we're going to do, we're going to fill the gap in. Because if you have a look, if I just isolate this, as you can tell, this is not filled in. So, and same with this other piece. If I isolate, as you can tell, there's that gap. So what we're going to do is select this and go to mesh, fill hole. Bam. So now that's filled. I'm going to do the same thing with this other piece as well. So just isolate it, just so I can see if it does it or not. Fill hole, now we filled it in. So that's all good. And now what we can do, you can go ahead and just start adding in the edge loops that we need. So you can go ahead and smooth it, and then we can go ahead and duplicate this to the other side, okay? So I'm going to start off with this piece, isolate it, just to make my life a little bit easier. And then insert edge loop tool and start adding in the edge loops. Okay, so we're going to need one here. And again, take your time with this, so once you hit that smooth, it will smooth properly. So I'm kind of rushing it just for the sake of time, but I might end up going back to this just to make sure that it smooths properly, okay? So try not to rush this too much when you're doing it in your own time. So I'm going to go ahead and add one here as well. That's looking pretty good. And then here I think I'm going to add two just to make sure that this don't smooth too much around the corner. So now I'm moving to this next piece, and again I'm going to add two around here just to make sure it will be fine. Again, you can make this piece a little bit different, so you can go ahead and improvise on this, so you could add some extra details like I did with this separate piece, so just to break it apart a little bit to make it a little bit cooler. So you could go ahead and move some vertebra maybe around there, or maybe around on this corner, give it a little dent or something just to make it a little bit cooler. Again, this piece could be a little bit of a bit that you can go ahead and get a little bit creative on, improvising it a little bit. Adding in edge loops is fun. Do, 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 do. Well, it's definitely better than if you try to bevel all these. That would be a pain, trust me. If not nearly impossible, probably. So I think we are pretty much there now. And again, I added 2 loops here on the end just to make sure it will smooth properly. I'm going to add 2 here as well. And I'm just now looking around and making sure that this will be fine. I probably have missed some somewhere, but hopefully I'll spot it. There we go. Missed one here. We got it there, so that's fine. So now I'm just going to go ahead and select that piece and isolate that as well. And this is just a cube, so nothing too complicated. I'll go ahead and add the edge loops in. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so let's come out from isolation, hit smooth and see how these are looking. And again, I go and select both and just isolate them so I can see if this is smoothing the way I want to, and it looks like it is. And see, this is the bit that I was telling you about, so these 2 bits are a little bit separated. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in the 2 edge loops here as well, just to make sure it smooths a little bit nicer around this edge. So I'm going to select both, isolate, smooth. Okay, so that looks pretty good. These are looking pretty good. Now I'm now looking at the corners. That looks pretty good. Yep, so now we have this piece done. I'm going to come out and just go ahead and look around it this way as well, making sure that everything's fine. This room could be a little bit bigger maybe, but it doesn't really bother me too much, so I'm going to leave that as it is. Okay, so that's looking pretty good to me. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and select both of these and go to mesh and combine them so they are one piece again. And then edit, delete all by type, history. And now we got our one piece created. So while the pivot point is in the middle, we're just going to go ahead and scale x minus 1 to get it onto the other side. And because it is a little bit different size, actually we should have duplicated this first. Let me do that again. So duplicate, scale x minus 1, because the 2 sides are a little bit different size, as you can tell. This don't go in, so I'm just going to go ahead and unsmooth, select those vertices, just drag them in, okay, to about there, and then now hit smooth again and see how that's looking. And now it's looking pretty good. We could do the same thing with this back piece, just drag them in a little bit, but you're not really going to notice the difference. You would notice probably around here, so just went ahead and moved those pieces. And now we're going to go ahead and just name all these things, okay? So name them whatever you want, just so you can keep track of what the hell they are. Body, back panel, back bottom, because these are sitting on the bottom, and I'm just going to copy this so I can name these the same thing. And then these would be the same thing. 5, 6, 6. And then this is, oh god, I named it Noddy, not Body. Let me just change that to Body. Oh, actually, I can't be bothered. No, we have to. Gotta change. Can't have them as a Noddy. So let me just go ahead and change these. This is gonna be 4, not 5. 5. And then this is gonna be 6. And then I'm gonna call this just body panel back top. And then this will be the same, but this will be left. And then we'll just call this right. Body backup, that's obviously that one. Poly surface, and then this will be the rim. I'm just going to go ahead and modify center pivot and do the same thing with that one. There we go. So this will be body, the rim, top, left, and then this will be body, rim, top, right. And now we're just going to go ahead and select everything and just put them in a group and name this body. And then whenever we add extra pieces and so on, we can just go ahead and add them to this group so it keeps everything nice and organized. So you got neck, head, body, and then we'll have the same group for the hands, and then the threads will be a different group and so on. So everything will be fairly organized. Okay, so in the next part I think we're going to go ahead and start adding in probably this little detail here, or we might as well go ahead and do that right now. So there's just going to be a little cylinder sort of thing, so we might as well start with that. We're going to go ahead and create a cylinder and just drag this up to about there. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and select these top faces, and it doesn't work, so just going to click them one by one quick, and then we're going to go ahead and extrude this. This is only a little part, that's why. And then just scale this in a tad. Just drag this down a little bit more. We might want to do this one more time. Just extrude, drag up the thickness, and then just scale it in again. Just gonna push this down a little bit more so we get something like this. And then that's looking pretty good, and I think we're going to go ahead and get rid of these bottom faces. Select that object, mesh, fill hole, and now we're just going to go ahead and add in this edge loop for this so it will smooth properly. So we're going to add one around the bottom there, and then we're going to add one around the top here, like so. Okay, so once, now hopefully if we go ahead and smooth this, we get something like this. We would have wanted to increase the subdivs, but to be honest, it doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to go ahead and scale this down a little bit to about there. So we get this bottom, I can't say that word. Anyway, so we get this kind of shape, and then we're going to go ahead and rotate this. -90. And then now we're just going to go into a side view, just turn X-ray on, and this is where this piece is going to go. So I'm just going to drag it roughly to a right place, and then we can go ahead and scale this. So just going to hit scale, and scale this to roughly the right size. Going to my front view, just make sure it's sitting inside that mesh, probably around there. Turn X-ray off and have a look how that's looking. It's sitting inside like so, and there we go. So we got this piece in as well, and now we're just going to go ahead and duplicate this scale X minus 1. Ooh, might not be Z, it will be Y minus 1, hopefully. And then we're just going to go ahead and it's not going to be minus 1. Just going to rotate it because we did change the we changed how much is scaled on the Y, so you're just going to duplicate and just rotate that way 90 degrees. I think that's going to be 180, and 0 this. Nope, it's going to be 90 here, and then we're going to rotate 90 here. There we go. And now we're just going to go ahead and move this to the right place again. So just making sure it sits inside the mesh to about there. Okay, and I'm just going to check the other one as well, see how deep this is sitting. Okay, so gonna sit about there. So now we have these two pieces added as well. That one, for some reason, looks a little bit bigger than this one. 636, 636. No, they should be the same size. Okay, so we got these two, and I'm just gonna name them as well. Body cylinder left, body cylinder right. I'm just gonna go ahead and drag both of these and put them in our body layer. Okay, so in the next part we're gonna go ahead and probably create this grill and make some of these buttons, and there's some extra little more details in here. Some of the details on there should really be kind of textured, so we might leave some of it blank, and then after that we can probably, I think, go ahead and move on to the bottom part of WALL-E. So I'll see you guys in the next part.